Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Shanks, the enigmatic red-haired man, a Yonko who breaks every rule. But what if the greatest secret of One Piece has been hidden in plain sight? What if Shanks actually possesses a devil fruit, secretly consumed to fill a void left by an ancestral power? Shanks' image is one of the most iconic and, at the same time, most mysterious in One Piece. Since his earliest appearances, he has established himself as one of the strongest pirates, respected for his raw strength and, above all, for his overwhelming mastery of haki. To many, Shanks is the embodiment of the pure warrior, without the fantastical powers of a devil fruit, a bastion of the old guard who earned his place among the Yonko, using nothing but his sword and his will. And the proof of that? The unforgettable scene in which he saves a young Luffy from a sea king, losing his arm in the process. He was in the water, something impossible for a devil fruit user. However, that crucial scene may actually contain the key to one of the greatest secrets in One Piece. What if Shanks' devil fruit was consumed after that fateful day in the East Blue? If the fruit was eaten later, the swimming argument is elegantly dismantled. He was able to swim to save Luffy because at that exact moment, he was not yet a devil fruit user. The question then is not whether he could have one, but when he ate it, and crucially, why. The motivation for an already established Yonko with such overwhelming haki to seek out a devil fruit lies in a profound loss far more than the simple mutilation of a limb. Shanks' arm was not just a part of his body, it was a connection to something much greater. This is where a fundamental element comes into play, brought to light by what we now know and given to us as a premise: the Abyss. The Abyss is, in fact, a real power in One Piece, a power that Imu-sama grants to people. If the Abyss is a power bestowed by Imu-sama, the supreme and mysterious figure of the world government, then the loss of Shanks' arm may have meant the loss of that very power. Imagine that the Abyss is not a physical force or a combat ability in the traditional sense, but an ethereal connection, a blessing or a bond that grants its bearer a unique influence or perception of the world. Perhaps it is an advanced form of control, an ability to sense and even manipulate the currents of the world, people's intentions, the very fabric of destiny. By losing his arm to save Luffy, Shanks not only suffered a physical injury, but inadvertently, or perhaps intentionally, severed his link to this abyssal power. Losing a limb to throw himself into the sea may have been symbolically a rejection of Imu-sama's gift, or an event that by its violent and disruptive nature disconnected him from that source of power. It is within this context that the search for a devil fruit would make perfect sense for Shanks, not out of greed or a desire to become unnecessarily stronger, but to compensate for the loss of the Abyss. The devil fruit would be a means of filling the void left by that power granted by Imu-sama, a tool to restore his balance and his ability to influence world events. But what would be the nature of this devil fruit? For Shanks, a man who primarily relies on haki and his sword, the fruit would need to complement, not overshadow, his existing abilities. It would have to be subtle, perhaps a paramecia that works more passively or acts as a catalyst for his haki. Imagine a fruit that allows him to manipulate intention or will in others more powerfully, amplifying Conqueror's haki to levels never before seen. Or a fruit that grants him the ability to silence or nullify the abilities of other devil fruits within a specific area without being a direct attack. Shanks' devil fruit would not be the kind that announces itself with colorful explosions or grand transformations. Its power would manifest as an invisible and incredibly potent extension of his own will and haki, filling the vacuum of influence and control left by the loss of Imu-sama's Abyss. It would be a paramecia that operates directly within the realms of the mind and perception. One of the pillars of this power would be the ability to manipulate the will of others. We are not talking about obvious mind control, but about a projection of intent so overwhelming that it becomes nearly irresistible. Shanks could induce retreat and fear with an intensity that transcends ordinary haki. It would be as if his will could seep into the subconscious of his opponents, instilling a panic that forces them to abandon the fight, or an aversion to confrontation so deep that any hostile action becomes unthinkable. It is a force that does not crush bodies, but twists determination itself, explaining how he was able to keep Kaido and Big Mom away from Marineford, or make an admiral like Green Bull retreat, feeling a pressure that went beyond mere physical strength. This ability would allow him to suppress hostile intentions on a massive scale, calming entire battlefields and reinforcing his image as a peacemaker, now with a supernatural tool that amplifies his charisma. In addition, the fruit would grant him a form of presence camouflage and enhanced perception. This is not physical invisibility, but sensory invisibility, where his aura becomes malleable and difficult to track even for the most skilled users of observation Haki. He would be able to appear and disappear at crucial locations with a subtlety that defies logistics and surveillance, always showing up at exactly the right moment, as if he were perpetually one step ahead. That same ability would allow him to read waves of emotion and intention from others over vast distances, deciphering lies, anticipating betrayals, and understanding complex scenarios without the need for direct information. It would be like having access to a global network of feelings, compensating for the loss of the abyss that Imu-sama once granted him. And perhaps the most strategic ability of all, the nullification and distortion of devil fruit powers within a limited area. This fruit would allow Shanks to create an invisible suppression zone around himself, a field in which the abilities of other devil fruits would be temporarily weakened or even completely nullified. Think of how the sea affects devil fruit users, but imagine that while influence, control, concentrated, and invisible emanating from Shanks himself. This would be the definitive explanation for the incident with Green Bull, where the Admiral's very ability to use his power was subdued before the battle even began. It would not be a permanent nullification, but rather a pulse or a constant aura that would make Shanks the nightmare of any devil fruit user, tilting the battlefield in his favor without the need for a direct clash of powers that would reveal the nature of his own fruit. This distortion of powers would add to his ability to deflect or dissipate devil fruit effects, making them pass through him or lose their effectiveness, adding a layer of illusory invulnerability that confounds any opponent. Given his unprecedented status and his intrinsic connection to the world government, a connection that, as we have explored, would be intimately tied to the abyss granted by Imu-sama, Shanks would not be a mere pirate seeking just any power. He would possess the necessary knowledge and strategic discernment to choose his devil fruit with surgical precision. His lineage, his direct interactions with the Gorosei, and hypothetically his own experience with the power of the abyss before its loss would grant Shanks an unparalleled understanding of the forces that govern the world, including the nature and functionality of devil fruits. He would not have stumbled upon a fruit by chance, nor would he have eaten the first one he found. Shanks would have accessed privileged information about the Akuma no Mi, perhaps even about those the world government classifies as legendary or of high priority due to their ability to influence major events or individuals. His decision to consume a devil fruit would be the result of meticulous analysis, a cold calculation of which power could most effectively and discreetly replace the lost functionality of the abyss. Shanks' knowledge would go beyond mere cataloging. He would understand the subtleties of the interactions between devil fruits and Haki and how certain powers could be blended or camouflaged beneath the facade of exceptional Haki mastery. He would not be looking for a fruit that turned him into an elemental being or a monster. He would be seeking one that gave him the tools to manipulate the environment and individuals in a way that mirrored the influence of the abyss but under his own control. He would identify a power that in the hands of a Haki master like himself would not appear to be a devil fruit at all, but rather Haki elevated to a divine level. The choice of a fruit with powers of will manipulation, sensory camouflage, and suppression of other devil fruits would not be accidental. Shanks would have understood that to compensate for the loss of the Abyssa power that granted influence and control, he would need a fruit that operated on the same principles, but independently of Imu-sama. He would have discerned that discretion would be his greatest weapon, allowing him to maintain his image as a pure Haki warrior while wielding a hidden power. Shanks' understanding of the world, and perhaps even of the intrinsic nature of devil fruits and their souls, would be so profound that he would be able to maximize the potential of his choice, transforming it into a tool of subtle and strategic power, unmatched in its impact and almost undetectable in its origin. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.